Righty then, final time, and England are in it. I didn't have England making the final. I had England getting to the semi-final. If you watch my preview, didn't do too far bad, to be honest, in terms of what I thought the semi-finals was going to be. I had Portugal versus Spain and England versus France as my two semi-finals. Obviously, Portugal did meet France, and that's where their run ended. I did have Spain-Germany in one of the quarterfinals as well, and had Spain progressing from that. The final that I had was Portugal-France, and I thought England would lose to France in the semi-final, but they ended up somehow getting Netherlands, who have been quite underperforming, really, and down to Koeman, I would think. Not quite selecting the best players at his disposal, and not quite having a system that really worked either, which sounds very familiar, doesn't it? But they are in a final, and if they win it, fair play, because it is about the winning at the end of the day, and you can eliminate a lot of the analysis if you win. But if you don't win, well, there's been questions and question marks there from the beginning. A lot of people are going to have to change a lot of the shit that they've come out with about how it's all just trust the process and see how it goes and that. Spain are favourites heading into this final because of that pressing style and attacking sort of flair that Spain have played with that you just didn't really align with Spain maybe a decade ago. They beat France in the semi-final with the brilliance of Lamine Yamal. He turns 17 today, actually. And then Dani Olmo scoring the winner in the comeback. They conceded early. It was a great goal, actually. But then they put on a clinic, and it was a phenomenal game. And beating France in that manner was a real marker. They still look to dictate the tempo. But they're not as tied to having possession as maybe the teams of like the 2010 kind of era were. They are a very good transition side. They're devastating on the counter, and they can play and hurt you in so many ways. England, they're in a final, and they've shown some fucking incredible resilience, to be honest. They were behind in the last 16, the quarterfinal and the semi-final games, but they've gone on and progressed in every single one of those rounds. The semi-final victory against the Netherlands, probably the best performance of the tournament for them, at least the first half. I think that's one of the fundamental criticisms of Gareth Southgate, is when he's got a game in his grasp, can he push on and go and win it, like he did when he had the lead against Italy at Wembley? If they get a nose in front, would you expect England to push on and get a second, or are they going to go to a back five and completely try and stop Spain playing in the hope of not conceding? I think if they try that, Spain will take them to pieces. Ollie Watkins was the hero off the bench to score another late goal for England, and I think they're going to have to improve. But the knack of hanging on late in the game and the belief that they will probably have in the dressing room might go a hell of a long way. They're still dysfunctional. They're still not playing slick. They're still not adhering, it seems, to any sort of a system. So you're going to have to rely on individuals to get them out of this a little bit. And it might actually suit England to be the underdogs in this game, rather than being the ones that are expected to come out. But I think Spain are tactically interesting, and I think De La Fuente's setting up the team in quite a basic 4-3-3 formation now in the build-up. You've got a back four, you've got a 6, 2 8s, and a front three. There's absolutely nothing groundbreaking about what they're doing there. Fullbacks like to go very, very wide and actually very, very high, which does force the opposition wingers to then start being wide. That pulls apart the opposition midfield and it opens up the passing lanes from centre-half into midfield. Wingers will often come in during the Spain build-up as well, and that allows the fullbacks to push up more, creating a bit of a 2-3-5 sort of formation. It gives them 8 players in central areas and 1 on each wing, giving them a little bit of width, which gives them options and strength in the centre and less space in between the players. But it works for Spain because of the technical ability of them. And De La Fuente likes this because he prioritises that overload through the middle. He needs one player high and wide to pull apart the back line, while the rest look to try and create a numerical superiority or an overload in that central midfield area, or the outside the D, if you like. And that builds real good connections and defensive transitions. It allows a lot more players to press when they lose the ball. Every team wants to be strong centrally and force you wide. When you have that many players in the middle of the pitch, you do start to force them wide. Another purpose for keeping so many players in the middle of the pitch as well is to shorten the distance. Shortens the distance between passing, shortens the distance between pressing. It just keeps everyone in a real decent sort of position, whether you're with the ball or without the ball. And it means that opposition players have less time to push, less time to press, less time on the ball. And it gives the Spanish players a lot more time and control when they're in possession because of the high level of technical ability that they've got. A new dimension that De La Fuente is adding to this Spanish build-up is that in-behind threat. Spain hasn't really had that for a while. They've not really had rapid wingers. But the likes of Yamal and Nico Williams, and even Ferran Torres to a lesser degree, Spain have really started to be a lot more direct than you would associate with them. Like I said, they had 75% possession against Georgia. Was it just because it was Georgia? They're technically good enough to do that if they need to do that, which is why I think it's a problem if they get a goal up for England, because Spain will keep the ball and you ain't seeing it. But they've also got this ability to be able to hit you on the counter now and for runs in behind. It's led to a lot of goal-scoring opportunities for them from dangerous through balls, and actually through balls from defence and midfield, not just from the high midfielders. And that constant threat really prevents the opposition from playing with a high back line and closing the space in between the lines and getting compact and narrow. So instead, they have to drop that back line to try and protect that space in behind. And the space then in front of the back line becomes an area for exploitation. And they like to look to create chances by attacking the space in between the centre half and the fullback, which for me is the best place to break a team down, because if you can drag a centre half or a fullback into that sort of half space or beyond into the wide areas, then you start to see 10, 12, 15 metre gaps. In elite football, that is an absolute football pitch worth of space to be able to get in through. So you're seeing underlaps there from the number 8s. You're seeing underlaps there from the fullbacks occasionally. When the winger receives the ball, he attracts the opposition fullback. Space then starts to open up in behind him, and they're either going to play somebody in there or they're going to try and take you on 1v1. But those underlaps into that space are an absolute nightmare. And the way City run everything through Rodri, stopping him would go a long way to stopping Spain as well, because he is the heartbeat of that team. Defensively, from opposition goal kicks, they're going to push up in a 4-1-3-2 formation, pressing with 5. That transitions to a 4-1-4-1 or a 4-5-1 when they're looking to try and sit in. And defensively, they're going to press extremely high. They're going to try and squeeze the pitch into little squares, leaving you open. So if you beat the press, you're going to be difficult to play through. But they don't often have the press beat. And that's what's good about them. They've decided to go a bit full on. It's the sort of thing that Southgate just isn't willing to do. Like, you get half-arse presses, whereas with Spain, they're not doing that. Star man for Spain, it's Rodri. I could have gone with one of the wingers because I think they're going to have a lot to do in this. Particularly, Yamal's a problem. Not just because he's 16, or isn't he doing well? No, he's doing well because he's doing well. There's no caveat of age into this. And Nico Williams is doing well because he's doing well. Now, I think he can be a bit more clinical with his final product, whether that's a pass or whether that's a shot. But he's absolutely skinning fullbacks. I don't know if he'll have the same joy against Kyle Walker, even though I think Kyle Walker's been under par in this tournament. I think Yamal up against probably someone either not fit or not a left back will probably be a bit of a problem. And I'm going to go with Rodri instead. I could have even gone with Olmo or Ruiz because I think they've been pretty good, but Rodri just seems to have the knack, the cog, the real sort of final piece that's conducive to winning. He sniffs out danger so well and he protects the back four brilliantly. If they play Foden in the 10, I would imagine Rodri knows all about him, all his little feints, all his little tricks that he uses to get away from a defender. I imagine that's a matchup that they see in training 7 or 8 times a week. So I think Foden would be a bit of a shadow in that position against Rodri. As soon as Spain get on the ball, he dictates play. He's going to be 100 passes, 80 minimum, right? He's going to be 80 to 100 passes. He'll keep the ball when he needs to. He'll release it forward when he needs to. And he can break lines when he needs to. He's just a fucking really, really good footballer that makes real good decisions. For England, I think Southgate goes with Walker, Stones, Gay, and Shaw. Rice and Mainoo, Foden, Saka, Bellingham, and Kane. And the match winner for England, I shit you not, is it because I'm a United fan? Yeah, kind of. It's Kobe Mainoo. He's the only player on this team that stylistically matches what Spain are going to do. England, if they don't keep hold of the ball, will get put on a carousel and dance to death. This England team has not shown any capability of playing off the back foot whatsoever just yet. And I think this is where you've got to really question what Southgate's been up to for the last 8 years. Because you're going to come up against a team here in Spain who, not quite as dominant with the ball as it was 14, 15 years ago, but a team that will take the ball off you and not give it you back. Can England play in a structure that requires them to break out? If you play Saka, Foden, and Kane as your forwards, who's your threat in behind? Because this is the game that you're going to need it. So I think if England are going to have half a chance at this and not just be penned in, the way you've seen United against City sometimes, that if you're not going to do that, what's the one player that can combine with everyone going forward? What is the one player that's going to look after that ball? This is a guy that just does not lose the ball. 7 months ago, he was an academy player and hadn't made his first team debut. Or start, at least. And now he's probable match winner and certainly one of the most important players in England's midfield. England midfield does not play football unless Kobe Mainoo is involved. And that's why Kobe Mainoo is going to have a big hand in how this game is going to play out. Who do I hope wins? I half hope England win just so I don't see the likes of fucking Kobe Mainoo destroyed, because I can fucking smell it that's what a lot of the press want to go and do. This might be the game that Trent and Gordon should come into, realistically. I mean, I could probably do an entire video on like how you could beat this Spain team, but in a nutshell, it's kind of, you got to have runners. And I don't know if I would play Trent in this, but you've got to have runners. You have to have runners. And if you haven't got runners, Spain are just going to take the ball and keep it and squeeze you and squeeze you and squeeze you. And they've got players in fine form. They've taken on some big teams in this. Like how can you look at a team that's done what Spain have done, and look at a team what England have done, and go wait. Spain, all right, Georgia aside, put Germany out, put France out. England are not better than either of those two teams. And England got run close by the Netherlands, who are not great, by Switzerland, who are not great, and by fucking Slovakia, not great. If you give Spain that sort of space and time and try to bore them in the way that you've done in those other games, there'll be 2 goals out of sight before you even start to think about going for it a little bit. Hope it's a good game either way. And I hope it's not a United player that becomes the scapegoat no matter what happens. Let me know your score predictions in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.